The third item on today's agenda is petition number 2014-06. The initial review of a petition alleging that a county officer or employee is in violation of section 2-83A3 due to the physical deterioration and attitude at Kona Aquatic Center and how I was treated on May 17, 2014. The petitioner, Gail, are you present? Yeah. Gail Ranfriends, did I say that correctly, or? Gail, you have a few minutes to discuss your petition.
Thank you, and good morning to all of you. First,
Is for 1 second, please, is the other person present? Let me see here, Derek Lee?
Mr. Chair, I don't believe he's here, but he did provide a response, which should be in your package.
Yes, I do have that here. Okay, please proceed.
okay, I'm here basically because I feel I was unloaded on in a phone conversation that I am just a volunteer at the pool. I do not know this man. Second of all, I'm really here in regards to the disrepair and the condition of the Kona Aquatics pool. Under Derek's leadership, there's no maintenance. He never cleans any of the stainless throughout the pool. The lifeguard stands at the bottom need scrape and rust proofed. Starting blocks are cracked. Plastic grating around the pool is moldy. And all of this could be cleaned by the lifeguards when there's low attendance at the pool. The pool hours have been changed from 6 in the morning to 6:15, which is a hardship for the public, especially my husband and other parents that have kids that need to get to school. And the reason for him closing it till 6:15 is all he has to do is chlorinate in the morning. Check the chlorination of the pool. That takes 5 minutes. If he could check the chlorination of the pool and open the gates as soon as he's finished with this, 5 minutes, it would be acceptable. But he insists on opening it at 6:15 because most of the parents have to get their kids to school and they come to the pool in the morning to swim before they start their day. The pool also closes midday on the weekends for lunch, so the lifeguards can have a lunch. So that means in the middle of a Saturday, when the pool is full of kids, everybody has to get out of the pool for an hour to an hour and a half while the lifeguards have their lunch, and then they can get back in. The pool is closed when the kids need it the most. Lately, we've been having a lot of, Derek says it's scheduling problems, where he closes the pool early. His lack of ownership and pride in the workplace, lack of supporting employees with a positive attitude, lack of knowledge of pool operations and maintenance. He has demonstrated he cannot be courteous, fair, or impartial to the public. He should be removed or replaced with new leadership that is certified in pool operations, exhibits pride of workplace in this facility, and sets a positive attitude for his lifeguards and public.
At this time, are there any questions for Ms. Ranfriends?
Before we go forward, I'd like to state to the board.
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. You had asked for a closed hearing, and I started this as an open hearing.
Oh, we can have an open.
Okay, fine. Thank you.
All right. First, I'd like to comment to the board before we proceed that at this time, I think we should be careful and limit this hearing, or the inquiry of this hearing, to the telephone conversation alone and nothing else. Is there agreement on that matter?
I'm in agreement. I had read the petition myself, and in my opinion, a lot of the things that were just discussed were performance issues rather than ethics issues. There were issues during the telephone conversation, which would be under the jurisdiction of the Code of Ethics.
Yes, I assumed you had read my letter, so I didn't go through all the ethics violations, but I have those if you'd like.
Are there any questions or comments by the board at this time?
Then let's agree that we'll stick to that, won't limit our inquiry to the area of telephone conversation alone, is that correct?
That is correct.
All right. You understand what we've just done?
You've taken the pool maintenance out of it.
Yes.
That is correct.
Anything else, because those are not questions for an ethics commission. We're not saying he didn't do any of these things. We're saying that we're not looking into them because they're not within our purview.
Okay.
It's probably the two players should look into that, or whoever supervises them, but definitely not us. But we can look in the area of whether he was disrespectful or unfair to you, that we can look into in that alone.
Okay.
That's why I'm saying, that's why I'm trying to limit this. Okay, step forward.
Do you have any comments specifically on the unfairness or rudeness?
Well, he accused me of stealing money. That was the first thing. I mean, I walked into the office, the lifeguard in the office told me to call him because I was no longer allowed in the office. I walked outside, I called him on my phone, and the first thing out of his mouth was he told me I stole money out of the office in December at a state meet when I was not even there. I was appalled. He had no space for his lifeguards. If he let me in the office, his lifeguards needed a place for a break. He accused me of using the county's trash bags and not our own trash bags. He told me that I left the pool area trashed, or the whole event left the pool area trashed. He told me if I wanted to use an office, I should get a permit. And he could not supply me a place to do my ribbon labeling, as he only had to supply one table to the public. He had reports from the lifeguards that morning that kids were in the storage area, which they were not, because I was around the pool during the setup, and all the kids were with their teams warming up. And there was probably around 300 kids at the pool on this morning, and there were none in the storage area. And then he accused me of stealing items from the storage and never returning them. I don't go in the storage. I am not on the team. I know that there are kids that do go in the storage, which is the polo team, which they were going in to get whatever they need to play water polo. And the other team that practices at the pool, they go in and get their kickboards and everything. So I do know that there are kids in the storage, but not the morning of the meet, which he accused me of.
Any questions?
Yes, first of all, you realize that we have nothing to do with his employment at all. We don't even recommend or not recommend whether you be employed or not. You understand that?
Okay,
Just way beyond our capacity.
okay.
Because you're asking us to see that he's fired, we will have nothing to do with that. You understand that?
Okay.
Okay.
What can you do?
All we can do is recommend to his authority that if he violates the code, that he has violated the code and they should punish him in the manner they choose.
Okay.
It's very limited. You understand?
Yes, I understand that a county employee.
Secondly, you understand also that this isn't the only hearing we're going to have on this matter. That if we find that there's enough evidence to show that there may be a violation, we hold a full hearing the next time we come up, where he will be involved with whatever evidence he wants to bring forward. You understand that?
Okay,
So that we feel that there's enough to go forward, it will be a second hearing.
correct.
What I'd like to ask first of all is,
Oh, by the way, these are now working, they're working.
thank you. What I'd like to ask, first of all, when you went up to the pool and asked through the office, how many different lifeguards did you ask at that time?
One, there was only one located
There was
in the
only one located there,
office.
and he said you could not use the office, is that correct?
Yes, and
Okay.
the officials from the meet had already placed the ribbons in the office. He had already accepted them.
All right, but he said that he wasn't going to allow you to use the office, all right?
That's correct.
How did you get the phone number from him?
The lifeguard gave it to me.
Did
He
you
told
ask
me-
him politely for it, or did you demand it?
No, I did not. I asked him, where could I work in the office? Because we've been doing this for 17 years. He had already accepted the ribbons, and that's when he told me he would not let me work in the, that he was told he could not let me work in the office. His boss's name was Derek Lee, and this is his phone number. If you have any problems, call him. So I walked outside.
So he
and I called
volunteered
him.
that to you?
Yes, he did.
All right. When you called Mr. Lee, were you angry at the fact that you've been turned down?
No, I called him and identified who I was, why I was calling, and why I was not allowed to work in the office that we have done 17 years prior. What was his reasoning behind this?
You've actually done it in 17 years prior? Were you-
I have not, but the group, Kona Aquatics has, yes, for 17 years.
Well, okay, this is my last question, it bothered me quite a bit. You said that he accused you of stealing, and he accused you of something else too, of doing something else, taking his trash, taking on bags. I think there's 3 things he accused you of doing, right? How could he do that if he didn't know who you were?
Exactly. I've never met the man.
That's what I'm saying, I know that
I've
you
never
guys
met him.
have never met each other. How could he excuse you specifically? Did he say someone did that, or did he say you did that?
No, he specifically
He
identified
specifically
it.
said you did that.
And this conversation went on for 5 minutes where he was unloading on me and
You know, it's my
accusing me.
dilemma though, you see what I'm,
I understand. And this is boiled down to it. He said, she said. I understand.
no, but my dilemma is, when I read both sides, I couldn't understand how he could accuse you specifically of doing something when he didn't know you.
Exactly.
Okay. I have no further questions, thank you.
Any more questions, or, go ahead?
Ma'am, when you said this is the first time that you've done this, but the organization's done it for 17 years, is this a once-a-year deal where they get together and do this, or how often during the year do these meets happen where you have these ribbon activities?
When Kona Aquatics or the Dolphins, Kona Dolphins, hosts a meet for all the swim teams on the island, then that's when we as the host team are responsible for doing all the ribbons for the kids, whether it be Kona Aquatics or Kona Dolphins. That's our pool that we practice at. Usually we host a meet once a year, once a season. There's long course season and a short course season, and both run for 6 months. So during the long course, we're there once, and during the short course, we're there once. But the meet that he referred that I stole money from was the state championships, where all of the whole state was there.
That's the December 2013
Yes,
time
that was
period.
the state meet, where everybody from all the other islands came to Kona Aquatics for the state meet.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Go ahead.
Can I have clarification from the board? This is another case that I've sat in again. We talked about investigations. The director of that department should be the first person to do this. See, is there a violation? If there's a violation, it becomes a grievable item. that person can also check for the ethics. If he did violate the ethics, then he refers that violation to us. So to me, here we go again, and this is the second time I've been pushing this. To me, the department head is responsible first. Finds the truth, talks to the complainants, see everybody's side, makes a decision, renders a decision, let's say you're guilty. Now that's agreeable item to the employee. Now he says there is a possible ethics violation. That comes to us for an informal or formal opinion. And that's how I look at this. The department head is not doing anything on this. They're all coming to us, the ethics board. To me, the department head should be number one on this because Mr. Lee is his employee. Coming from a management standpoint, I want to know what my employees are doing to upset the community.
I ask, have you gone to,
Yes, I have had no response from Mr. Holman. None. And that is why I'm here.
Much to the chagrin of my seatmate here, let me just, my perspective on this. I think from a procedural way, that's probably an efficient method. But in my understanding of the article, members of the public have every right to come to us. And we take a look at their petition and determine whether or not there's anything there and we can move forward. And it's not the most efficient way, but it's just part of what the public has the authority, has the right to do.
go ahead.
I agree, however, I disagree. Another disagreement part is this. The county hires people to run the pool. As management, they are responsible for their employees, their interaction with the community. Number one, we don't have that authority. That's why, again, from the last hearing we had, and I'm always going to push this, let the department head do it. If you can't do it, then find somebody else. We're like the last resort because if she's not accepting what the department head says, and she still pushes on violation of ethics, yes, by all means, come to us. But give the department head that opportunity to address this issue because how many more issues we don't know about? And as part of management, that is good management. That's why they're getting paid to do what they do. Period.
In this particular case, according to Ms. Ranford, she did go to the supervisors, and so she is using us as a place of last
So I
resort.
didn't know.
Yeah, I didn't know that until we just asked them. With that in mind, I'm going to ask the members of the board, do we want to go further into informal or formal hearing or dismiss the matter?
Seems to be my day for making motions. So I move that we proceed with an informal advisory hearing
I second
on
that.
this petition.
It's been moved and seconded to go into an informal advisory hearing. That'll be at the next board meeting, I believe. Is there any further discussion on this?
Can we have all participants here? Director, Mr. Lee.
I don't see why not. Go ahead, Council.
If the board wants to order it, then you can.
I think it would be wise to have the, Derek would need to be here, and I would believe his, at least his immediate supervisor, if not the department head, should be here.
I disagree totally, because I don't think there's any reason for a director to be here. If you're going to work performance like he wants to do, it's true, but I already discussed the fact that we're going to limit it to telephone conversation under the ethics code, that's what we're limited to, the
Okay.
telephone conversation.
But I think
If
that,
it were performance, then the director would have to be
right,
here.
and not to speak necessarily for
Yes.
Commissioner, but I think also what he's talking about is not the performance issue. It's the ability
ethics
to
issue.
deal with the ethics issues and whether or not the department head's done that. Is that what you're talking about? that's why you would have him here.
Well, for one thing, as a manager, he should be, well, maybe not the director, but his immediate supervisor. I don't know if Kona has a supervisor over here.
No, he is the head lifeguard.
He is the head lifeguard.
He is.
Who does he follow under?
Holman.
Holman. Well, I'll let the wishes be of the board.
Okay, so, just for clarity and for Renee's, help, you do have a motion and a second. I think you're discussing whether or not you want to go into informal, and these other issues we can talk about that should the motion pass.
Okay, so right now, let's vote on, is there any further discussion on the motion itself? And the motion itself is to go into informal advisory hearing. It's been seconded. Is there discussion on that specific item? Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor of going into informal hearing at the next meeting, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We'll be going into informal hearing. Now, just to discuss the details, I'd like to mention that I do agree with Mr. Hendricks, and that is, it is a specifics of the Code of Ethics. We're not discussing performance. I wish his supervisor had gotten involved. That would have been the appropriate way to go, but he has not gotten involved, so we're going to be looking specifically at the ethics issue. We will not be looking at the condition of the pool or any of those items. It's going to be specific to your discussion that you had with him.
Also, may I add that if we should start ordering supervisors to appear before the board every time an employee does, we'd be setting bad precedent if it's not in the county ethics code.
Please turn your mic on. Please turn your mic on.
So noted. Any further discussion on that? So we'll be moving forward. Thank you very much. We'll be moving on with the agenda. I'd like to take a short break before we go into unfinished business for 5 minutes or so.
One quick question.
Yeah.
Could this informal meeting be held in Kona? Because Derek's over there, and I don't know where his supervisor is. Could that be held in Kona?
We will discuss that and let you know.
Okay.
Thank you for the suggestion. Okay, so we're going to take a break for 5 or 10 minutes and be right back.